And we are live. Hello and welcome to the D4 The Mighty Dave Show. I'm your host, Dave Ball, also known as Blinson on Reddit and @Blinson1 on Twitter. Today I have two of the three normal Dave co-hosts. We have LA Kings Dave, as he is both known as in Reddit and Twitter. And then we have Minnesota Dave, known as Abe from in 1986 on Reddit and @Birdbag on Twitter. Dave Gamboa can't be joining us tonight, so
Lame.
Because he's a Rangers fan, and Rangers fans are terrible.
That's horrible.
I'm only biased this week, but
Don't trust me, they're terrible people. I'm always biased.
all the time.
All the time. Hate Rangers
Well,
fans.
what do you get for being from New York?
Yep, I hate Rangers fans too. Go Devils.
Devils suck.
Well, Flyers suck more.
How did your playoffs hopes go this year?
I'd say Zajac, he's been hitting under par lately.
I would like to point out the Devils do have more cups than the Flyers, though.
Yeah. When was the last time you won 3 in 10 years, so suck it.
There was one 3 in 3 years.
Well, that doesn't count.
You didn't win 3 and 3. You only won 2.
Almost. I said almost 3 in 3
Okay.
years. I had the word almost there.
You have been to the Cup more times, though.
Yeah, we have the best. We have like the most cup appearances of all all expansion teams. We only have 2 cups.
You haven't had a good goalie since Textall, though. We've had Broder for all these years.
You
so.
had him since your inception.
Yeah. He came in the league in '92, if I remember right.
Something like that, yeah. So,
When did New Jersey move from Colorado? Was that
it was like 86, 87.
Yeah.
So, damn. Anyway, I guess we'll get into we have a couple topics tonight. We have an NHL Quick Hits topic that's going to encompass basically everything that's happened today, which is a lot. And then we also have, we're going to talk about tomorrow's game a little bit, so hopefully that will take us the entire time. I guess we'll head right into it. Jim Rutherford has been named the GM of the Penguin. What are your guys' opinion on that? Because he says he wants to hold the position for only about 2 to 3 years so he can mentor the assistant GM. You don't like it?
I think that...
Why not?
Well, I think it's actually going to be kind of interesting. If this is a situation where... by the way, I don't know if somebody could type any louder, but I was just going to say,
Dave.
it's kind of weird to have a situation where you know that you're not going to be there for very long as a GM. And GMs know that they get hired to be fired. Eventually, at some point, all GMs get fired for the most part, unless you're Kenny Holland. So it's just odd to have a situation where, like, maybe he just, interviewed for it knowing that he doesn't want to be a GM in the NHL that much longer. But he's basically said he's grooming the next guy to come in 3 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's an odd situation. I don't know if I really like that stability within an organization. It's
I'm not a fan of it.
How are you going to sign somebody long term and say, you know what, this is our plan, but oh wait, I'm bailing? I don't really like that. Like, I feel like when you have a team and you want to build, I know that they're built to win now with who they have, so maybe that's what the ownership's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But I generally like it when you have an ownership that's going to say, we're going to be here for 5 years and do a build, or we're going to be here for 5+ years, to compete. It's just kind of odd to me that you have a situation like this, and I haven't seen it, but maybe it will work. You never know. I don't really like it if I was a player.
I don't think it was going to work because, as you said, he's going to come in and who knows what the new GM is going to do in a couple of years. First off, that is a completely different situation having a new GM come in after 2 years after another GM had just come in. That is such turmoil in the front office. It's gonna ruin the franchise or something it's gonna be horrible for the franchise. Having 3 GMs in 3 years. That is not something you want.
The reason I'm not a fan of it is because the Penguins are in a situation now because Dan Bosmo's announced that he was fired today. So with bringing Rutherford in, the Penguins are in a position because they've been drafting terribly with Shiro. The Penguins are in a position where when they bring in a new coach, he and the GM can work together and kind of figure out what kind of team they want. Now, if the plan is to just have him come in just to mentor young GMs and that's completely it, then I guess mission accomplished for Pittsburgh. But you got to build a team, and right now it's just him being out of here in 2-3 years, that's just it doesn't bode well for me. I don't think, especially if they're going to hire a coach to a decently long-term contract, like 4 or 5. If they do that, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Mostly.
Well, who do you guys think that they're going to bring in now? Who would you want? Would you want somebody with experience, or would you rather have somebody who maybe is a new coach then if you're going to bring somebody in like this? Because
Well,
I feel
was
like
it
if you hire a coach now, it's like that coach is going to think, I don't know, in 3 years when Rutherford's gone, I might be gone too.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of coach would you bring in now?
Well, was it just Bilesma that was fired, or did they fire his whole staff?
The staff was fired beforehand. When
Yeah.
they fired Shiro, they fired the staff.
Oh, okay.
Then they, took 3 weeks and then finally fired the head coach. Like, first off, that's just a screwed up situation to begin with. I wasn't a fan of how they went about firing Shiro. I mean, yeah, you give it to the new GM to make the decisions, but with all the talks about firing him, he could have just done it and not, strung him around for 3 weeks. He could have been, talking to other teams and trying to get a job. And plus, you could have also been talking to other other coaches that have now already been hired.
I wonder if they're doing that because they know that he's still a good coach. His message is just not going through, and they just didn't want him to have any extra time with another team if they weren't going to keep him.
Mm.
But yeah, in general, I'm not a huge fan of the way Pittsburgh's management and ownership has handled this entire situation. And they're generally, what's weird to me is generally Lemieux and his boys have been really good at dealing with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's weird to me that all of a sudden he'd be doing this. And I know that as an owner, he already has a cup in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
They've obviously proven that they're committed to winning and have no problem spending money nor making moves in the past for things. So it's just weird to me that all of a sudden he's just like acting all weird and like doing stuff that's inconsistent with the way that you would think most people would want a management to act.
Yeah. There's just something not right about this entire situation, definitely. I feel like something big is about to go down with this franchise. Who knows? It might not be a trade. It won't be a move, obviously, but something big is about to happen. Whether it's gonna be Lemieux just jumping ship because he doesn't like the way the franchise is going, maybe, and he's just trying to I don't know, maybe set it up so they have to go into a rebuild and sell everybody, and he's just trying to get the most out of this.
That's not going to happen. When you have Crosby in his prime and Malkin, that's not going to happen.
You never know.
They're trying to win right now. I just think that they're going about it poorly.
Yeah, they're not rebuilding correctly. They're not retooling correctly, actually.
I mean, the retooling process they've been trying to do through moves. It's the rebuilding. Like, they don't even need to rebuild. So they have drafted poorly, as mentioned. Shiro didn't draft that well.
He drafted defensemen okay. Like, they have a couple pretty good defensemen. It's just their forward depth is horrible in, the team and the organizational depth. He has not been able to draft forwards, and maybe Jim Rutherford could do that. Who knows? He hasn't really been doing so well.
That's something he actually has done well, though.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really know much about that Carolina depth chart over there, but.
Well, when you look at Eric Stahl and Jeff Skinner and other guys like that, he has been able to build.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what Pittsburgh does with Letang because he keeps getting brought up in trade rumors.
And also how they're going to replace Niskanen this year.
Yeah.
He doesn't get re-signed.
Yep.
And then UC Okudin hasn't been re-signed either, and he's a big part of their top 6. So, who knows what's going to happen this year with them? It's going to be. They actually might be the Pennsylvania team this year that goes out and does a bunch of crazy things. Because with our new GM, we might not be doing that.
No, I don't think. I think Hextall, when you look at how he was groomed in Los Angeles under Dean Lombardi, and watching the way that worked out, I don't think that there's no reason to do that, especially when you already have a decent core. You guys have a decent core. You have great forward depth.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to shake things up.
And we have a lot of good defensemen coming up in our. We have like 4 really good defensemen coming up, and we might get more this year. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it.
down to if your goaltending will hold up.
Yeah, we actually have goaltending. It's weird to think about. I'm not going into an off season and be like, what the hell's gonna happen with our goalies? It's such a weird feeling. I haven't. Last time this kind of happened, it was '97, and I was 6 years old, where we didn't have to worry about goalies. So, not really saying much. We actually have a comment from somebody listening to us. It's from Cora. She says, the Canes are not that deep. He has a huge preference for small, skilled forwards. Well, it kind of works for the Penguins because they're
Yeah, I was gonna say that'll work for
small,
the
skilled
East.
forwards. Yeah. But hopefully he doesn't change the team too much, and the Flyers can still defeat them easily. That's why I was kind of sad Disco Dan got fired. We know how to beat him. But anyway, I guess we're gonna go. Anybody else have any other comments for this?
Yeah, I'll be
No,
interested.
not as far as Pittsburgh goes, no.
Yeah. I guess we're gonna go into the next topic with your Devils, Dave.
Yeah.
Or it might not be coming back to the Devils.
Well, I just
has something to do with Schneider.
yeah, because I mean, Brodeurs turned into such a drama queen. I love the guy, but you know, at the beginning, towards the beginning of the season, he was quoted as saying that he felt like he passed the torch on to Schneider for the starting role.
Mm-hmm.
So but then later, you can tell he's just kind of complaining about not getting enough starts. And then there was a whole Stadium Series thing where he gave up 7 goals and started complaining about the ice conditions. So, I just got an update too on one of my apps saying that he's pretty much going to be counting on being a free agent come July.
You think he's going to go anywhere?
I can't think of. I mean, unless a team wants just a veteran goalie to come in to kind of teach a younger kid. The thing is, though, they're gonna have to make it clear to him: you're a backup. You're not going to be a starter here.
And I don't know if he's going to take that.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest with you, I don't think his ego can take that because he's been New Jersey's guy since '92.
He kind of grew up as the starter. He's been a starter for the past 20-some years. Basically, since he was a kid, he's been an NHL starter.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's hard to give up the game, but especially if you're a legend like him, it's going to be even harder.
I can respect that. This is his life, and giving that up just can't be easy. But at the same time, too, just from some of the things I've heard about him in New Jersey, he is not a good person. And there's a whole Uncle Daddy situation too.
But yeah, that was years ago, though. We don't really have to talk about that.
Yeah, I just.
He was young.
I think he just has to realize that his time's over.
Mm-hmm.
And he could be a backup. He's not going to be a starter. There's no way. No, and especially not on the Devils too, because the Devils, I don't want to say they're rebuilding, but they pretty much are. And I mean, you can't be going with a 40-year-old goalie because he was terrible this year.
Yeah.
Do you think his contract's up right now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he is a free agent.
Okay.
Yeah, so where do you guys think he would end up if they do resign him? Like, what team do you think would take a look at him? I can honestly see my team maybe looking at him to kind of help Mason with his puck handling, because Mason's
all
really
of New
good puck
Jersey
handler.
would explode if that would happen. If that
It
happened.
would be hilarious. Him either going to us, he won't go to New York, so you don't have to worry about that. They're kind of set. Who else is looking for a goalie? I mean, I guess he could go to Calgary, maybe. Kind of help there. I don't even know who they have up there.
They have,
Carramo?
Well,
His name?
yeah, their young goaltending is supposed to be good.
Yeah, that's true.
supposedly. So I don't know. Why would Calgary do that though? It's not like he would go there expecting to win. So if he's this old, like what's his end game? It's basically he wants to try to win right now, in my opinion. If he just wants to play for the love of the game, then good for him. I hope he goes on and does that somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, but I think that it's selfish as a player to expect, especially in any major sport, to expect a team to keep you if you're not good enough anymore.
Yeah. I mean, they drafted his son for him, so what else could they really give him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Son. I
He
mean,
has all the respect in the world for Marty, but he also has to realize that,
there's a time.
he's got to be done. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with him. Who knows where he's going to go, if he ever goes anywhere, and if any team would want him to go anywhere. Because I can't think of a team that would, really. So the next topic was the Islanders have. I think there's reports that they've been sold. Wong is no longer their
I'll be back in 1 second. My
owner.
roommate's
So.
hold on a second. They're doing something stupid.
Okay then. Do you think this, David? Do you think this will be the thing that finally helps turn their franchise around?
I think it will. I think it'll be slow, but I think it will. Just they're moving to they're going to be playing in Barclays, so they're out of Nassau, which that place was an absolute dump.
Yeah, it's Brian Burke was quoted saying that the only place that's worse than the Flames, the Saddle Dome, is the Coliseum. So,
yeah, I mean that place is terrible. I mean players have been quoted saying the locker rooms and just the facilities are awful.
Place is old, isn't it though?
Yeah,
Extremely.
but they've needed to move for a long time. But yeah, new owners. I mean look at Arizona even. With the Coyotes, they've got new owners now and they've turned it around.
Yeah.
Fan base is starting to grow, which is good.
The Islanders have the old fan base though, so it's going to be easier for them to turn it around than the Coyotes would have been.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the Islanders had at one point a history of success. It may have been 20 years ago, and they've kind of sucked since, but they do have that history to rely on. And plus, they have JT on their team, so they have someone they can shop.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty dependent on Garchnall, honestly, the success of this team.
Honestly, he has never been given a good shot as a GM.
No, but
Never.
some of the things that he's done as a GM are pretty questionable.
Yeah, but he's done a lot of good, in my opinion. A lot more good than bad. I mean, yeah, you can say the Vanek-Molson trade wasn't that great, but at the time, you may have thought maybe it could work because Vanek is better than Molson was, and playing with someone like JT, it may have helped him a lot more.
Yeah.
So, it was a good move, it just didn't pay off.
He's done some. Okay, I'll give you that. He has done some good things, but the bad things that he's done, I mean, they're pretty. It's like throwing up a red flag. Sirens are going and everything.
What do you think? What has been considered bad for him?
Well, okay. What was that?
Go ahead.
Well, I'll give you an example just in Minnesota's case. The Niederreiter trade, we sent Cal Clutterbuck in a third-round pick for this year, and this year's draft is just incredibly weak.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, you can definitely tell we fleeced them on that one just because of the way Nino's been producing for us compared to Clutterbuck. They basically got a big punching bag that's just going to go out and hit people, and that's about it.
But with Nito, when he was playing on their team, he was underperforming massively. Like he was demanding ice time, demanding all this different stuff, and he went on the ice and was pushed around, wasn't playing well at all, which is why they traded him. He wasn't playing up to what they thought they needed. And they know they needed someone big to try to help their team be, somewhat more of a physical presence than they are, which they're not a really big physical presence.
Yeah,
So
I just think
that's why they traded him. No,
I mean, they already had Matt Martin, who led the league in hits last year.
Did he?
Yeah.
One player does not make a physical presence, though. I mean, I'm also used to having a team with a physical presence, so it didn't really seem like, compared to my team, it wasn't that physical. That's kind of my view. Can't really see the outsiders' perspective, I guess.
If they didn't feel that Niederreiter was going to get it done or didn't want to play there, then that's great. They traded for somebody who can be effective, even if he's not as skilled. I can't fault them for doing that. I don't know if you read on Our Hockey today the article that was posted regarding the Islanders and their thoughts on
from the score.
I
think
Garth Snow. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Did you read that one? Okay. Well, basically, obviously he's had his problems, but at the same time, there's so much
to work with, and
there's so much his owner just cripples him with,
and
it makes it very difficult as a GM to be able to do much when your owner doesn't give you much leeway.
And he hasn't built a bad team through waivers. I mean, last year they made the playoffs with a waiver pickup team. That's the big thing with him. He's got part of his team is from waivers. I mean, that's where he got the goalie last year from, who was, as many people said, the only reason they didn't make it to the second round was because of their goaltender. and how bad Nabokov was. And who else did they get from waivers? They got a few
Well,
other
they got
players.
Halak now, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Their goaltending is set for a while, so we don't have to worry about that anymore.
I can't believe Halak got bounced to 3 different teams in 6 weeks or whatever.
He
There's
has,
no way that guy's that bad, unless
he has
somebody
problem
felt
with consistency. That's his big thing for
That's
understanding
true,
the
but
Blues
still.
players.
his skill's good enough to be an NHL starter, and I'm glad. I hope that he gets to stay there and prove to people.
I mean, how big of a contract did he sign? It was a couple of years, wasn't it? Or did he sign for like 4 years? I think I want to say.
I'm not sure.
I'll
We
look
can
it up.
check CapGeek.
Yeah,
but-
it's on right now. So he signed until 2017, 2018 season. So
That's a good contract for him then.
about how many? It's about 3.5 a year for 4 years. Not bad at all
Yeah.
for a goaltender like him. Not bad for 3.5 a year.
No.
I mean, they do have questions with who there's going to be their backup, and their four of death is kind of shaky right now. But when they have, John Tavares and Ryan Strome and Kyle Okposo, I don't know how to say it last
Yeah,
name.
Postal.
Mark
We all
Poso's
know-
good.
Yeah, we all know I can't say last names, but Ryan Strome is going to be a really good player once he finally can make it to the NHL if they don't keep sending him back to the AHL. And I know this year they gave chances to a lot of rookies coming up. After JT went down, they brought up a lot of rookies once they realized they're not making the playoffs.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing at all. So I think within the next 7 or 8 years, they're probably going to be able to turn a lot around if their new owner lets them spend. That's going to be the big thing with them. They have to.
That's not confirmed that guy's buying the team, though, right?
It's going to be announced after the finals. I think is the big thing. If it's true, that's when it'll be announced after the finals. I don't think it's 100% confirmed though.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna go or not. If you're Wang or Wong, or however you pronounce his name,
Wangu.
I'm wondering why you would sell the team right before you move to Brooklyn. Like, you've made this big push to get into Brooklyn and to agree to a deal there. Why would you all of a sudden sell your team right before you move to this nice new place? I mean, it might not be the greatest NHL arena with the seating setup and all that, but it seems to me like you're getting out of the old dumpy Nassau Coliseum, you're moving to Brooklyn, you're closer to more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird to me that all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'll move. I mean, maybe he just really wants to get out of it, but
It could be an offer he couldn't refuse.
true.
Like,
That's
money
true, too.
talks. Money talks.
And Brooklyn's a hot commodity right now. I mean, the Nets just moved there in the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
and Dimitri, whatever his name is, that owns that stadium, is obviously a guy that loves the show, and I'm sure he'd be big into getting an NHL team too, moving in there. So
And we'll see what happens there. Nothing but good things for the Islanders if it's true, though.
yeah,
Even though they're in our division, I can't really think of them a rival with how bad they've been. But I really want to see them do well. I want to see John Tavares do well. He is too good of a player to be forced to spend his entire career on a very bad team.
right.
So we'll see. Hopefully it turns around there. And there was reports about the next thing that's on our list. I'm not sure how true they are. They're probably not true. The LA Kings might be being sold after this year.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, as soon as I saw, I'm like,
He has already said that that's not going to happen. So
I mean, you guys are your teams are riding too high. He's making too much money off it, probably.
well, it's not just that. It's that either he sells a portion of the team,
Hmm.
and the thing is, he already tried to sell AEG 2 years ago after we won.
Hmm.
And AEG owns so many arenas, so many concert venues, so much everything, that the asking price was at least $10 billion.
Wow.
So there's very few people that can actually do that to begin with.
Yeah.
And so if he wants to sell just the Kings, then yes, maybe he might do that. But I don't see why he would do that, because the Kings have majority stake in the Staples Center.
Mhm.
So anybody that was looking to buy that would probably want the Staples Center as well, since the Lakers and Clippers play there too. Which means that they're still looking at probably somewhere around the range
money.
of over $1 billion just for that, because you're getting the stadium and the team, and people are going to be like, well, the Lakers and Clippers play there, so why would we not jack the price, especially since somebody just paid $2 billion for the Clippers?
Mm-hmm. So
It's just ridiculous and stupid.
yeah, I didn't think it was true. I just had to bring it up because it was a report. It's definitely too idiotic to think it's true. Yeah. So. And then one of the biggest things that came out today, Toronto going on a fire sale. What do you guys think of this? Everyone but Bernier, Kessel, Bozak, and Riley being shopped. And why isn't JVR on this list, basically?
Abe?
I don't. I think it's just. I wouldn't say they're going to try to get rid of everyone. I think it's more of them just saying. I think it's more of them just. It's just a way of them saying, we're open to offers, but here's our untouchables. What I don't get though is why Bozak is on there.
Yeah, he is not a first-line center, and
No.
they've been treating him as one.
I mean, if it were up to me, I'd swap JVR and Bozak because JVR and Kessel just work so well together.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And
I have to go to Capgeek, but I mean, I'd keep Phaneuf too. People make fun of him saying he can't hit the net, but he's still a solid defenseman.
he's
I
like
think
he's 7.8 a year or something like that.
Yeah, no one's gonna want that either, even with the salary cap going up.
I mean, the only way they get rid of him is they keep portion of the cap hit.
Right.
Only way.
But it's just he might not be the most offensively skilled guy, but at the same time, I trust him in his own end, so I think Phaneuf gets a little too much flack for.
I mean, he's not a number
Wasn't
one
he a
defenseman.
plus on that team, like, this last season?
I'll look that up.
I believe that he was still a plus player on that team this year, even though he was on the ice for the majority, like obviously more than anybody else,
I'm
and
looking that up.
going up against everybody's top lines.
Phaneuf is also signed until 2021, so good luck trying to get rid of him.
Dion Phaneuf. It doesn't say it there. Let's go to their website.
Well, either way, I don't see why. If that's really true, I mean, is this confirmed? Because to me, it seems like you're saying, you know what, we're going to stick with our coach, and you players were the problem. Pretty much, they're saying, you now have 16, 18 guys on your roster. I don't know how many are actually staying from last season, but you have that many guys on your roster. You're saying, you know what, you guys were shitty, and it was your fault and not the coach's and his system. Even though pretty much the consensus around the NHL from most outside observers is Carlisle's system sucked, and we don't understand how that many talented players can't put together a winning record.
And
you're leaving your goalie out to dry all the time. Like, to me, it seems like this is just something that's going to uninspire your team
even more.
Yeah, it's just, once again, terrible management from Toronto, which we've seen over the years. I'm actually surprised to see this route going down by Tim Leiweke, who moved over from the Kings, because in Los Angeles, he was such a big proponent of the players, and everybody out here loved him. And now he's in Toronto, and to see him do something like this is a little bit weird to me, unless he really, really does feel that Carlisle was not the problem, which...
I don't know why you would feel that.
Yeah.
They have 10 players going to free agency this season, and then 13 if you count this year and next year.
And Phaneuf was a +2 by the end of the year. He was third on the team in plus-minus. So. Joffrey Lupul was a -15. Wow. But yeah. If it's true, I wonder what's going to happen with this franchise. Like, are they just going to sell everything and just for some reason be worse than they already in right now? Like, they already are right now.
I mean, if they get rid of a bunch of their low, like their third or fourth line players, if that's what they're kind of trying to do, then I guess I could see that. Like, if they want to try to get some picks for them at the same time, because they got a lot of young kids in their system too.
But are they good kids? That's the thing.
Yeah, see, and that I don't know.
That's a good
Um,
question.
I don't really see the benefit in blowing everything up, but I guess
Mm.
when you're the Leafs, no offense to them, but you turn over every stone, might as well give something a shot.
Yeah, I mean they've missed the playoffs for how many years, then finally make it just for what happened to happen to them. So they're
Well,
probably just grabbing at straws now.
yeah, and last year too was a lockout year. It was a half a
Mhm.
season. Like if they played a full season, then
They
I don't
may
think.
have dropped off.
Yeah, I don't think the Leafs would have made it. I don't think the Islanders would have made it either.
Hmm.
So
But who knows what would have really happened that year? So much could have been.
yeah,
Yeah. So. Yeah, so I
Well,
guess
moving on.
we'll go into tomorrow's game, which will be Chicago and the Kings. Wow, why does it say Chicago and the Kings? Should be New York and the Kings. Wow.
Do we have anybody on Twitter or the?
We haven't had any questions, no. So
Okay.
lame.
yeah, there was conversation, but that was probably about 4 topics ago, and we already covered what they said in our talk. It was
Gotcha.
basically about how the Canes and how what was it? It was about the Canes and how they're not that deep, basically.
Yeah, thank you, Cora.
Yeah, that's basically all it was. So we don't have anything else about that. So I guess we'll go into the next topic, which is the Kings and the Rangers, and they're tied at 1. No, they're not tied
I
at
think
1.
Boa's
The
not
Kings
here.
won.
He's afraid to talk about this.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But yeah, the Kings have won the first game.
Yep.
And how important do you guys think that first game win is?
Well, I think it's something like 70% of teams that win the first game win the cup.
Hmm.
But I don't really put much stock in anything like that.
Mm. I think the real reason everyone loves kind of is really big on the first game is the mindset it kind of gives players. Like we only have 3 wins left to win the cup, while the other team has 4 wins. We're 1 win closer. We can do this. We've already won 1 game. Why can't we can win 3 more easily? Which I guess is the kind of mindset it can give players, and that's kind of a dangerous thing in a sense because if you think we can win 3 wins easily, then you could easily lose 3 games too.
Yeah, I think for the Kings especially, they're all professional athletes. They know they're playing professional athletes, so I think they respect the Rangers enough to know that it's not going to be an easy series.
Mm-hmm.
If it's anything like Game 1, it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be. We're in for a good final.
Oh yes. And what'd you think about that first period out there, Dave?
Last game, that was
Yeah.
terrible. But
They did end up turning it around.
yeah, I don't ever count us out really anymore. But at the same time, it would have been nice if we didn't look like ass for 20 or 30 minutes.
You guys got the win, so that's all that matters.
I hate that
Right.
cliche.
What was that?
I hate that cliche.
Why do you hate it?
A win's a win.
Yeah.
I just don't like it because it's not a quality. It doesn't. Saying that a win's a win doesn't really take into quality of play. And so, I mean, you could say it's nothing throughout the whole game, goes into OT. You're playing terribly. Like you can't get any offensive momentum, but then you score on a fluky goal.
Mm-hmm.
So like from the dots, just like a bad bounce or something like that, or if it goes off a stanchion and ends up going in. Saying a win's a win doesn't really. It just makes it sound like, oh well, they won, doesn't matter. Because I don't think any teams really deserve a win, but if you're playing terribly, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I hate that cliche. I bring some college football stuff into this too, but it's a hockey podcast, so I'll try not to.
We can talk about whatever we want. Me and Blake talked about basketball last night, so.
All right, well, okay, I'll use an example. Boise State. This was years, a few years ago. They play in an independent conference. They don't play in a big, they don't play in a major conference or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they play a really easy schedule. I mean, they're beating up on teams 40-10, stuff like that. Finally, they play Virginia Tech in a neutral site. They win 36-33, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's just saying, "Oh, well, a win's a win. They held their own, whatever." But at the same time, too, you got to, looking at the stats, they didn't play as well as they always do against their conference opponents. So it's like, yeah, they won, but at the same time, it just showed that they're a good team. They can beat a team, but they're not as great as everyone says they are. They shouldn't be in BCS contention, which is the Big Bowl Championship Series, which that determines who goes to like the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl. So, and that's why I don't like the BCS system, because Joey Flott doesn't take into account strength of schedule, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you guys think the Rangers are going to have to bounce back? What do you think they're going to have to do?
I think they played great in the first period, to be honest with you.
But the first period doesn't make a game.
Right.
I mean, they have to utilize their speed because they are definitely faster than us.
Oh, definitely.
So it's just very hard to do that against the Kings, regardless, because they play such good positional hockey. You saw both their goals were on breakaways, basically. Or, I mean, the Voinov goal, or the goal that went off Voinov's foot, was still basically almost a breakaway. So it's just they have to keep trying to do that. And I think that you're going to see them keep pushing a guy up there in order to do that.
I think for New York too, they can't panic. Because a lot of these guys, the furthest they've made it is the conference finals when the New Jersey knocked them out. Being down 1-0 can be a little disheartening, especially because you played so well in the first, and then just kind of in second and third period, just kind of let the game get out of hand and get out of control. I think you can't panic, and that's why it's good to have a guy like St. Louis in there because he's won a cup before. Just tell him, hey guys, calm down.
I mean, they also have Brad Richards, who's won a cup with St. Louis.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
So, I mean.
Yeah, Carcillo too.
But yeah, no. Carcillo didn't win a cup. Carcillo did nothing.
Yeah, he was on a cup-winning team.
Yeah. There's a difference between winning a cup and being on a cup-winning team.
Yeah. I mean, the Kings are more experienced. They've been in this position before, so they know what it takes to win. But, yeah, key for the Rangers, don't panic. I think if Rick Nash can get going, too, then...
Rick Nash has to get going. Brad Richards has to finally somehow find a way to live up to his contract.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's been playing really well is Carl Hagelin.
Their whole bottom six haven't been playing very well.
Yeah.
The top six that haven't really been being who they should be. Like most of their goals against the Flyers were scored by by their bottom six. I mean, San Luis had I think 2 goals in 7 games, 2 or 3. Brad Richards I think maybe had 2. Rick Nash had 0. Stefan I'm not sure, and I don't know who the left wings on that team are. But their bottom 6 scored most of their goals, which is what they're living and dying by, their bottom 6. If the bottom 6 goes away, their goals go away, in my opinion.
Well, a lot of people feel that they actually have more depth than we do.
I think you guys have better depth.
Well, our top 6 is probably better, but a lot of people feel that their third and fourth lines are better than ours, which you can make an argument for, aside from Justin Williams, really, who's playing on the third line. But our fourth line is really not that good, especially since Mike Richards has not been playing well.
I heard you guys might be buying him out, actually.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, he's another guy like Brad Richards who has not lived up to his contract, and there's still another year of the amnesty buyouts.
Yep. You're welcome for that contract, by the way.
What's that?
You're welcome for that contract, by the way.
Oh, yeah, hey, no problem. Thanks. I'll take that contract for a cup.
Thanks for Wayne Simmons and, Braden Shen and our pick that turned into Grossman.
Hey, you can say all that, but next week, if we have another cup, I'm going to say that it was well worth it. Because regardless of how much money we've spent on Mike Richards, the fact that we're making it to the finals 2 out of 3 years tells me that they made plenty of their money back in the playoffs in order to do that. So.
Yeah, that is very much true. But those cups are not because of Mike Richards. He is just a piece.
Well, the first 2 years ago, he did play well in the playoffs.
Well,
this year, he's had a couple good games. He was good in Game 7 against the Ducks, and he was good in a couple other games this playoff. But overall, no.
The thing with Mike Richards is, the reason he did so well for you guys is because he's not the guy for you, like he was here.
Probably
Over
something.
here, him and Carter were the guys, so they were they had a lot more pressure over here than they did for you guys, and that was why they seemed to do so well for you.
Richard's probably stopped doing as many drugs too. I bet you that's why.
Maybe he should take some more.
Go back on the cocaine, Richard. Just go back on the cocaine.
I'm
You'll
just
do better.
saying, if he was on cocaine again, he might be scoring more.
We are not abdicating cocaine use, everybody.
No, we're just saying if.
But if Mike
I am
Richards, you wanna do
advocating
it-
cocaine use for Mike Richards. And only Mike Richards. I'm just saying, I've seen people do pot and become much better people. A friend of mine used to be really angry and have anger issues, and then he started smoking pot, and now he's an awesome dude. Mike Richards used to score goals when he was on cocaine. If he did cocaine again, maybe he would score goals again.
Let's just hope he's not hanging out around with Ryan Malone, because then he'll get caught.
Well, Ryan Malone obviously doesn't have as much experience with cocaine as Mike Richards.
he could hang out with Danny Healy over the off season. You can get some tips from him.
Yeah, I guess. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
But yeah, kids, don't do drugs.
Unless you're Mike Richards.
Unless
You
you're
can
Mike
do
Richards.
drugs. But Mike Richards, he has to do it with Jeff Carter. That's why Jeff Carter came to you guys. He has to have his drugs buddy.
Well, his drugs buddy is now basically married to some chick, so he hasn't been doing
That
it.
doesn't mean much to Jeff Carter. Marriage don't mean much.
Well, other people's marriages don't mean much.
Yeah.
If your name's Scott Hartnell, yeah, your marriage doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
what
by
I
the
was
way,
saying-
shout out to Scott Hartnell, who was, I know we say class, but it was a very nice gesture today on Facebook to do a shout out to the Penguins fan, Cy, or what was the guy's name?
size something. I'll look it up right now.
Yeah. The guy, the Hulkster for the Pens, who died. He's definitely one of the bigger character fans in the NHL.
Yeah.
So I'm sure most of you who follow the NHL
Cy
and
Clark.
watch way too many Pittsburgh games because they're on NBC all the goddamn time. But regardless, there's certain fans in sports where you're like, I know that fan. There's the fireman for the New York Jets, and there's
Green
You know,
Man
the
for
pigs.
Vancouver.
the guys who wear the pigs and dresses at Washington Redskins games. Yeah, there's the
Basically
Green
all
Man in
Oakland fans.
Vancouver,
All-
things like that. He's just one of those fans that's known for more than just being a Pittsburgh fan. He's a diehard, and unfortunately, he passed away due to cancer. But
Yeah, it's really sad.
Scott Hartnell gave a shout out to him on his Facebook, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Definitely really cool of him to do. So,
We got a question, by the way.
yes, I saw that. Why do you think the Kings do so well in the playoffs? Voodoo, sacrificial offerings, deals with the devil? But seriously, why? Why do you think they do so well in the playoffs? Dave?
System. It's all about the system. And it's about people that step up at the right time. You see guys like Justin Williams, who's now, known as Mr. Game 7.
Mhm.
He comes to play in the playoffs. I don't know why, but we have a lot of guys that show up in the playoffs and not in the regular season.
Mhm.
So Jonathan Quick has been an average goaltender for most of his career, as most people know, aside from 2012, and then in the playoffs and in the Olympics, pretty much. This year's playoffs, he has not been as good, but traditionally last year and the year before, he was good in the playoffs. Justin Williams, great player in the playoffs, not a great statistical player during the regular season. Drew Doughty, amazing player during the playoffs, during the Olympics. You have guys that step up at the biggest stages,
Mhm.
and it's just like something mental that clicks because they have obviously the physical ability to do this. And the playoffs, everybody has a good team. There's nobody in the playoffs these days that doesn't have a good team. Maybe aside from a team like Dallas, no offense to the Stars, but they're a team that might not have the depth or the skill to be able to compete with everybody else this year. Sure, they made the playoffs, but it's their first time making the playoffs in while they're a young team,
And fuck the Stars. Sorry, but
Okay, that's fine. But I'm just saying, almost everybody that makes the playoffs realistically has a chance to win the cup. It's
Yeah.
about that mental focus and the right coaching. And Daryl Sutter's done a great job of coaching. great job of matchups throughout the playoffs the last 3 years. Last year, obviously, we lost to Chicago, but they're another team. Great in the playoffs, great coaching, big-time players.
And
It's
they
just what
have
it
some
is.
very good players there. Yeah. So
I'm gonna say deals with the devil, and that's gonna explain 2012.
they're making deals with you?
Yeah, no, they're making deals with you.
I am not the devil.
I actually think this year's playoffs, the Kings have been more impressive in
Kings
a
have
lot of
been
ways.
very well. Yeah, they've had 3 Game 7s, one of which was, making history
Reverse
by
sweep.
coming from 3
Yeah.
to a reverse sweep, which is a very fun thing to watch, if I do say myself.
I personally, obviously I'm biased as a Kings fan, but I think this has been one of the most entertaining playoffs to watch as a fan for a team.
It's been a lot of fun.
I would definitely agree.
We win the first round, reverse sweeping the Sharks. Then we play our first series ever against Anaheim, which obviously is a big deal here.
You've never played
But
against
this
them
is
in the
something that we've
playoffs
been waiting
before?
for 20 years. We've never played the Ducks in the playoffs.
Really?
So that goes to Game 7, and that's unbelievable. And we went on the road again there. And then we play the defending champions and a team we lost to in the Western Conference Finals last year. As a fan, as a Kings fan at least, this is the greatest run to the playoffs ever. And just from a hockey standpoint, as a guy that knows a lot about hockey, not to sound boastful, but I can't remember a time where you've seen a team not only run through 2 of their biggest rivals, but also the defending champions who beat them last year in the playoffs, all Game 7s. Nobody's ever done that. This is really one of the best runs we've ever seen in hockey. And I'm not just saying that as a Kings team or as a Kings fan, but realistically, I would like somebody to point out a run that's this ridiculous. I mean, Boston a couple years ago had a decent run, but they swept the Flyers.
Nah.
But that was still a good run. They
2010
went through
Flyers,
Montreal and things like that. But I can't remember a time ever seeing something like this.
I mean, 2010 Flyers had a very good run, last day of the regular season getting into the playoffs, reverse sweeping the Boston that year, having to go through the Devils in the first round with a very good... Martin Brodeur was very good back then still. And then facing a very hot team in the Canadiens, and then getting 3 shutouts in 5 games against the Canadiens. That was a very fun series to watch. Only to have Michael Leighton happen.
I think Patrick Kane happened.
Who should have been ours? Should have been ours. Fuck the draft lottery. I'm gonna drink
I bet you
some beer
Pittsburgh's
for
I bet you Pittsburgh loves the draft lottery. Look what it gave them.
Fuck the draft lottery. It's given us nothing. The
Well, I'm
one
kinda
time we
curious
tried
to
to
know-
use it.
I don't know. I don't even know how many listeners we have, but I'm kind of curious to know, even if you're not listening today, but you listen to the podcast later down the road, I just like if you're posting on our HockeyCast, just throw up some comments. Let me know who you think, or what year you think your team had the most memorable playoff run. Because even though we did win our first in 2012, I think that this is going to go down as one of those playoff runs that's talked about for the history of hockey, not just for the Kings, if we end up winning the Cup. And I'd like to know what people will think about who else has had a run that's just ridiculous or something magical has happened where you think that happens.
I just tweeted out the question, so for the listeners that we have could answer it.
I'd say the end result. I mean, the end result was different because they lost, but I'd say the Ducks in 2003 when they went to the Cup final, that was sort of a Cinderella run. Yeah.
That was a great run. And it produces the most sad picture in the world.
Well, and in the Western Conference Final, you had 2 teams that really, I wouldn't say had any business being there, in Minnesota and Anaheim.
They had Jiggy.
Yeah,
They got Jiggy
he was playing dynamite too. And then you also had Paul Kariya getting laid out by Scott Stevens, and then coming back and scoring. I mean, granted, this was the pre-salary cap era, and that was basically dominated by the Avs, Red Wings, and Devils at that time. But
and the Stars. I mean, the Stars only won 1 cup, but they went to the Western Conference Finals.
It was like 2 years.
A couple years in a row.
They went to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row, didn't they?
Yeah, 2 years in a row there, and then I think they went to the Western Conference 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I mean, Modano is a ridiculously good player.
Yeah,
he was ours first.
Yeah, but how did that work out for you, Mr. Norm Green?
I'm gonna say fuck Norm Green.
Anyway, yeah, they had Mike Madonna. Who else did they have on that team?
Brett Hull.
With Brett Hall on the team,
Joe
yeah.
Neuendijk.
Yeah, Neuendijk, I was just gonna say him. Yeah.
Um,
Who
who
was
do
the
you
goaltender?
guys? Speaking of, we were talking about the Ducks. I was listening to another radio show today, and they were talking about how they thought that maybe Lundqvist might pull a Jaguar
Hmm.
and win the Conn Smythe even if the Rangers lose. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Because I think a lot of people have said Kopitar, Doughty have been the front runners for the Kings, and obviously Lundqvist is the front runner for New York. But do you think that Lundqvist would have a chance to win the Conn Smythe even if they lose?
I don't think so.
No, I don't
Look
think
at that.
they wouldn't give it to a. I don't think they would do it unless he.
If they did that, I think it'd be such a cop out. Everybody, because
Yeah.
tons of people love Henrik, and they love they love him as a goalie. They think he's elite. I think if you just give him the Conn Smythe instead of if they don't win the cup, but they give Henrik the Conn Smythe, that's like to me that seems like it's a consolation prize. Like, well, you tried. Here you go. You can have
It's the
this.
Shea Weber Award, basically.
Yeah, it's
But I mean, realistically, he has been easily the best player for the Rangers, and maybe if they win the cup, he'll be considered the best
If they
player
win, he
for the
gets the
playaffs.
Conn Smythe.
So
If they win, he gets the Conn Smythe.
what if it
They
goes
don't
7?
win, it's 7. Yeah.
I still think you give it to Kopitar.
I think it has to go to Kopitar. I think
I still
he
think
has been dynamite for you guys. You put him on a line with Gabrick, and the two of them have exploded. Gabrick hasn't played like this in a long time. He hasn't.
No.
He seems to be having fun on the ice, and I think it has to go to Kopitar with how he's led your team, and how he's put up how many points? What he has like 19, 20 points.
Well, it leads the NHL right now in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
it leaves the most points. It has to go to him. If you guys win, it goes to him. If the Rangers win, it goes to Lundqvist. Lundqvist is the sole reason they made it through some of those rounds.
I think too they're kind of trying to avoid the Jaguar situation.
Mm.
I don't think they want to see another sad goalie.
Uh,
All right.
we've had a few answers to the who they think what run did their team have, like that thing was the most memorable. We have Josh, the Lightning fan, saying 2004 was their most memorable, but that's their only cup.
That goal was in, Josh. Sorry.
Aisha said 2011, obviously. We have a Blackhawks fan, Anna, who says 2013. John McCauley, the Sassy Fetus, says 2011. And then Cora answers. This question depresses me. I guess 02, furthest we went recently before eventual emotional damage. They've went 2004. They also went to the. No, it wasn't 2004. It was 2000. When did they face the final? Flyers. No, that was the semifinals. Never mind.
2004 was Calgary.
Yeah, I was thinking of when the Flyers knocked out the Leafs the last time in the playoffs before last year. I was trying to think of what round that was, but that was the semifinals, so it's a moot point. Yeah. But yeah, most of those are, I guess, current fans or whatever saying their most recent cup runs. There's a lot of cup runs in history that are really good. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I should just put it out to any team and not just your own team.
Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm. But
I think a lot of. I mean, obviously we got listeners from a lot of different teams, but
Mm.
if I had to pick another run for a team that's not my own, you might say. Obviously, 2001 with Raymond Bork was special,
yeah,
and I know most of you guys are too young, but '87 is considered one of the greatest years ever. When the Flyers lost in the finals, as you know,
Game 7,
but
yes.
won.
Hextall played amazingly, and
Yeah.
the one thing about this, no one considered the Flyers to be that great of a team. The '80s are kind of considered they were stuck between the Broad Street Bullies and the Legion of Doom eras. Like the '80s
Yeah.
were kind of a iffy era, but they put together such a grinding. We're gonna work really hard to get to it. And '87 is considered one of the best Stanley Cup finals to ever been played because a Flyers team that had no like business being as good as they were against the Oilers, which were a very good team. So I mean, Hextall played out of his mind. He won the Conn Smythe. I think he was like the first like the first player on a losing team to ever win the Conn Smythe.
No, he was not.
Was he? No, I'm wrong then. But he was the first goaltender to score a goal. I know that.
There's also the
Purposely
Canucks
to
and
score a goal.
the Canucks run in '94. That could be considered a good one.
The history and the myth behind the Rangers run in '94 was also pretty good with, the guarantee from Mark Messier.
Yeah, fuck Mark Messier.
Then '95,
That was
the
their first
lockout
cup
era
in
was.
4 years too. So
You could say basically any cup run from the '95 lockout era was good because it was such a run to the finals.
I was gonna say like the Devils in '95 because they weren't even favored against the Red Wings and they ended up sweeping them in the final.
They were. You guys had a very good team though then. I mean.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
You
there's
don't
two
expect.
good
I don't
teams.
think. From what I heard, because I was 4 at the time, I don't really remember much. But from what I heard, no one favored you guys against the Flyers that year either, and you beat us. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of very good years.
Like I said, yeah, '95 to '03 was basically dominated by 3 teams.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because I mean, that's also the time when the Red Wings went back to back. But
they had their Russian 5 going.
yep, the Devils actually had a chance to win back to back championships, but
Yeah,
that was actually the Raymond Bourque year, so not too
yeah.
upset about that.
Raymond Burke, he kind of deserved a cup. Even though you can't say someone deserves a cup, he was one of those players that it gets as close to deserving a cup as anybody does. So.
Do you think we'll ever see a player that has kind of like a Raymond Bourque story? I mean, the first person that comes to my mind is Iginla, but
Yeah,
I can't really think.
That's probably the
well, no
closest.
offense to Iginla, but he's not as great as.
He's not as great as Bork was.
No, and I can't really.
I think
I can't think of a player that. Like, I have personal players that I like Shane Doan. I'd love to see win a cup just because he's been so loyal to the Coyotes this whole time.
I'd like to see Daniel Briere win one just because he's a master. He was a master in the playoffs.
Right. My point is, though, it's just like I can't really think of any players that are just universally loved that people want to see win a cup. Like, they'll put allegiances aside just to see him win.
Mm-hmm. People were kind of doing that with Timu, but he already won a cup.
Yeah, he won in
They wanted him to
2007.
get another one. They just wanted him to get another one. Was what the big thing with him. There's no player I don't think that's going to be universally loved or have that same type of the captain gets a cup, not even lifting it, and just gives it to him. I don't think
maybe
there's going to be
Daniel
no.
Alfredson.
Maybe.
See,
Maybe.
I don't even know about that because I still think the Senators fan base is still split on him. Like, it just seems like that.
Yeah, that's what it
Right,
seems
but
pretty split.
I think that Dave Andrewchuk's the last one to rival Bork, but even then, it was Tampa Bay and Calgary. It wasn't a very.
It wasn't.
It was a great series if you're a hockey fan, but it wasn't very highly rated, and a lot of people thought that Calgary should have maybe won that series. No offense, Josh, but aside from Alfredson, currently, I can't think of anybody else, unless people love maybe a Joe Thornton. But
Yeah. There's not that many players that are gonna be like, yeah, he should get a cup if he can win it. There's a lot of players that everyone's like, yeah, I would be happy if he won it, but none that
I
are
don't think. I
universally
think that
loved.
we have so many guys that have retired recently, or everybody else that has it, that you can really only think of 3 or 4 that have the longevity.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right about Doan, but at the same time, most people in the Pacific, outside of Phoenix, do not like Doan.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'd be as universally loved. Maybe the Sedin brothers at some point.
People don't like the myth behind them, like the diving thing. And
I
there's
would have
people
said
that don't
Ryan
like-
Smith, but Ryan Smith retired, so.
Yeah. He was probably. I think it's just the age of
Oh,
players.
Koivu. I don't know if he's going to stick around, though.
Oh, yeah,
Saka's probably
Koivu.
retiring, too.
Yeah, Saku is probably the closest. Yeah, that I think about. Forgot that he. Yeah, he hasn't won a cup yet, has he?
No.
I know his former team. How many teams has he played? Just the Canadiens and the Ducks he's played on. I think that's
Mhm.
it. I know the Canadiens love him, their fan base. So I think he's the closest to everybody should have him get a cup, but he might be retiring at the end of this year.
Yeah. There's guys that certain guys that it'll be like Robin Regier for the Kings this year.
He might be coming back. won't he?
Who? Well, he's played 1,000 games as of this season, but he's always been a defensive defenseman. It'll be nice to see him win if the Kings win, because a guy like that's if you can stay in the league for 1,000 games as a defensive defenseman,
Mhm.
that's a
And not have
testament
your
to
body give out.
yeah. Especially since he came back from 2 broken legs originally. Like, a lot of people didn't think his career was even going to continue. So I'm going to be really happy to see him, and I think a lot of Calgary fans, not as much as they would have with Iginla, but I think a lot of Calgary fans are still going to be stoked if he wins.
Mhm. Yeah, I know Calgary doesn't hate him. They wanted him to leave so he can try to win a cup. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess he made good with the Boston Penguins situation. So he went to the Boston in the end to make that situation better. So the Boston fans don't hate him.
Here's a trivia question for you two.
God.
Really quick. Who is the highest scoring player to never win a Stanley Cup, and who played the most games without winning a Stanley Cup? 2 different players.
Oh.
Highest scoring player. I actually knew this one. The highest.
Marcel
scoring player.
Dion, is that one of them?
Nice work.
Yep.
Well done. Highest
Wow.
scoring player. 5th all time. Never won a cup.
And then you said the longest player to never win a cup?
Most games played without winning a cup.
That one I don't know.
Yeah, that one.
Defenseman.
Oh.
Hmm.
Say.
American.
Oh, shoot. When did he
Played for
retire?
Calgary.
Played for Calgary? How is he still in the league?
What's that?
Is he still in the league?
No. He
No.
is now
Not it.
coaching the Nashville Predators. Not
Really?
coaching. He's assistant coaching.
Oh.
Oh. I was gonna say they hired somebody.
He's
How did they
4th
hire him?
all time in points. He played for the Flames, the Sabres, the Jets, the Capitals, the Blackhawks, and finished with the Maple Leafs.
Oh, this is, yeah, I'm not going to get this one.
Oh, he played for the Devils too. In
Oh.
96.
Oh,
Only
96.
one season.
Oh, shoot.
He
Which-
retired in 2003. His initials are PH.
Bill Hosley.
Phil Housley.
Oh my
Nice
God.
work.
I am not on the internet looking it up right now or anything.
Okay, well.
I'm not on Bleacher Report because that's the only thing I found in my Google search. Fuck slideshow. It was a slideshow that told me it.
See, if you said he was from Minnesota, I probably would have gotten it. He's a good old Minnesota player.
I don't know. I'm just looking at his stats. I knew that off the top of my head. I didn't know all of his stuff though. But he played 1,495 games, and I don't think he ever even played in a cup final. So,
That's
but yeah, no, he's coaching. He's the defenseman coach now for the Panthers.
I thought you said the Predators.
That's
Yeah,
what I
the
meant.
Predators.
He's the Predators. I said that originally. I don't know why I said Panthers.
Actually, yeah, he did play in the Cup final. Got swept by the Red Wings in '98.
Okay.
No, 98. In 97, 98, was that?
No, '98, '99. That's when Detroit repeated.
No, they played 96, 97, 97, 98, I thought.
I'm pretty sure he never played in the finals.
97, 98 was the Capitals. So
Yes, it was.
96, 97 was the Flyers versus the Rangers. So 98, 99.
'97, '98. He played with the Capitals.
Yeah, so he wasn't a finals.
No,
But they were
he,
swept, so it didn't matter.
you know what? I'm going to Google because this is going
No,
to.
it was true. 97, 98, he was on the Capitals, and they went to the finals that year.
See, told you.
Mm.
Never doubt the bird back again.
Always doubt you.
Because I'm one true Dave.
You were not the one true Dave.
Cora, that was a shout out to you because I am the one true Dave.
Nobody believes you.
I believe me.
You
That's
are
all
the
that matters.
You're
No.
the devil.
I believe me. That's all that matters because I'm the only one that counts here.
Oh, really? I might just kick you out of this.
All right, see ya.
Later.
So, you guys have any final thoughts?
I'm excited for tomorrow.
I
Obviously.
wonder why. What's going on tomorrow?
It's a little thing called Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final.
What's the Stanley Cup final, Dave? Can you explain
It's
it
a
to
pretty
us?
cool thing. Maybe
It
one
is.
day you'll
It's really
figure out.
fun. See, I know what it is. We've been there.
You know what? Minnesota's been there too.
And
And you won.
which Minnesota?
The actual
North Star.
the true Minnesota team.
Yeah. So it's fun but heart crushing.
Actually, no, you don't know. My team has been there, Dave.
Dave Ball?
What?
When were you born?
91.
Okay, so
So I've been
you...
through two.
Yeah.
Fun fact: I was actually at one of the two games in the '97. I remember sitting in the upper bowl, looking down, and I don't remember much after that. But I know we lost, so I don't really have to remember much. But yeah, I was also at one of the 2010 Eastern Conference Finals games.
I've experienced three Stanley Cup final appearances in my lifetime as a hockey fan.
Okay.
So you had 2001 with the Devils, 2003, and you also had 2012, which I don't
Oh
like
yeah,
talking
I forget you're a Devils fan.
Yeah, I don't like talking about 2012.
What do you think about 2012, Dave?
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Stoked about it.
No, I'm not stoked about it at all. They made a deal with the Devil.
They made a deal
You're
with you.
literally the Devils. How much more of a deal could you make?
You know what? Here's what I'm thinking. What happened was that Kings owners went to Lou and they were just like, "Hey, you guys have had 3 in 10 years. We haven't won one yet. We're trying to get this market to grow." And then Bettman was like, "Yeah, Lou, you should probably do it." He's like, "All right, fine." And then Lou was like,
Yeah.
pretty easy. If you don't captain this team to a cup, I'll let you go to Minnesota. No hard feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Dave, what happened the last time the Flyers were in the Cup final?
I don't know. The final got canceled after Game 5, so they couldn't find the puck to play the next game.
Chris Pronger still has it.
I don't know what you're talking about. They couldn't find it.
Here's a question for Dave. Abe. I know you're not a fan of Bauer skates, but...
No, I'm a fan of Bauer skates.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for new ice skates.
Okay.
And somebody just sent me a link to Hockey Giant. It's the Bauer Supreme 1/6 skates. I don't know if you know anything about them.
They're kind of more of a traditional fit. A little lighter on the heel. My pair of skates that I had from Bauer were the Vapors, and they were the X4.0s, which I think now which the X.6s were the equivalent of, or they're based off of that skate. Supremes are you're gonna get more of a traditional stance too. They're gonna be more you're gonna be more standing up more, whereas with the Vapors you're gonna be leaning forward more in your stance.
I tend to stand up more.
Yeah, so the Supremes might be good for you. My thing is just try it on. Make sure the fit's good, because if it isn't, then it doesn't matter who makes it. If it doesn't fit right, it's not going to feel right, and you're not going to skate right.
I got hockey skates that fit right, and they feel perfect when I was on the ice. Even though it was the horrible ice of my hometown rink. But it was still nice to finally have skates that fit.
I was going to say, I have grass right now, and I'm probably never going to buy a different skate again, because they're just that comfortable.
My dad got them free, and they were actually very nice skates. They were like top-of-the-line skates that I got for free because he traded the person a computer because he knows the people from the hockey store.
Oh, nice.
My dad knows people. A lot of people. And he gets a lot of things free because of it. Or discounted. I love it. Yeah.
Hook a brother up.
You live too far away.
Why?
I am not shipping things to LA.
I'll give you a shipping account. I'm not joking.
I don't think I could do that because I can't get the things free. It's my dad. I can't just be constantly asking for free things.
Yeah, you can. You're his kid.
You can always
I don't
ask.
live at home anymore. I don't have the rights. I don't live at home. Okay, I think that's everything we have to talk about. We're over our time limit anyway, so...
Oh, well, there we
Any
go.
final thoughts for anybody?
If the Rangers win, I'm going to go into a perpetual state of drunkenness because I hate the Rangers
so you're ready for the Kings now. Sweet.
Yeah. I know.
Okay, so...
I don't really have anything else to say. I'm just... Everybody enjoy yourself this weekend. Stay safe. And root for the Kings.
obviously. I don't know why people would root for the Rangers. They're bad.
They are.
I will never forgive the Rangers for '94.
What do you think, Gamboa? Oh, that's right.
I love the
You didn't even
Kings.
defend-
That's
you
what I
didn't even
love.
defend
I'm a really bad goalie too.
I'm a sieve. We're so mean.
Whatever. he can
Anyway,
deal
I
with it.
guess this has been, I think, the 8th episode of the D4 The Mighty Dave show, and someday we'll have all 4 of us back here again. Who knows when? But I'm Dave Ball. I'm Blinson on Reddit and at Blinson1 on Twitter. LA Kings Dave is LA Kings Dave basically everywhere. And Minnesota Dave, he is
The
Abe
bird
from,
bag.
Abe from in 1986 on Reddit and Birdbag on Twitter. So you can follow. That's where you can follow us. You can follow this account and everything that we kind of post out at rHockeyCast on Twitter, or you can go to our subreddit, which is r/rhockeycast, or you can go to our website, which is rhockeycast.com. So this is us signing off. Have a good night,
Have a
everybody.
week.
Take care.